So, babe, I got a question for you. Is sex in marriage optional? That's what we're going to talk about in today's podcast. We have
Way
a
to throw me on the spot.
we had a great email from a listener, and we kind of went back and forth with him. He explained kind of what he was going through, and we're going to read that email to you. He gave us permission to read the email, but we felt like this would be a great podcast to do a subject on because there's so many other husbands and some wives that reach out to us constantly about this exact thing. So.
Great.
That's what we're going to dive into on today's episode of the Ultimate Intimacy Podcast with your favorite host, Amy.
Nick, favorite first host, Nick.
Yeah, I think our last episode where I was on, no one wanted to listen.
Oh, whatever. Whatever. Okay, so do you want me to just read this
Yeah,
email?
bear with us. Give us a couple minutes. We're just going to read through this.
I think a
Email.
lot of you men are going to be like, oh my gosh, I should have wrote the exact same email. I feel the exact same way. Some wives feel this way. We understand it goes both ways. This one's coming from a husband. Am I sounding good? Good, sounding.
I think so.
It's fixing my sound. Hopefully I sound good. We understand it goes both ways. We understand there's higher drive wives. And so, anyways, this is just some of we hear this constantly. This email was the perfect email to kind of dive into this topic. And we're just going to start with that. And then we'll kind of break it down about our thoughts on it. Because we have lots of thoughts on this. This could be a long episode. It says, Hi, Amy. I have been getting emails from Ultimate Intimacy for about 2 years now. I have tried to get my wife engaged in your app, read lots of marriage books. We have had marriage counseling with some lady and her team over 2 years. Guess what? Nothing has changed. I have heard emotional connection until I'm blue in the face. I have supported her emotional connection our entire marriage, and she has done exactly jack crap to work on sex and intimacy. I think everyone is overcomplicating the matter. Husbands are far less complicated than wives, and we basically need two things: respect and sex. The kind that feels like our wives want to be there and are engaged. Somewhere along the way, women by majority have been told or led to believe that sex in marriage is optional. Husbands get shoved into an era and running roommate that gets placed in the friend zone. When did a prerequisite get put in place that the wife's emotional connection needs to be addressed first? I don't mean this to sound offensive, but women are far too emotionally unstable for her emotional connection to be the foundation of sex in marriage. The time of month, what her family said, what her friend did, how the kids are acting, if she's stressed out about world events or politics, if she's misinterpreted something her husband said or did, etc. The list is endless on what affects a woman's emotions. It puts the husband in an endless dog and pony show and has been walking on eggshells because we can spend days, weeks, and months building her emotional connection, and the slightest things tear it down and we start all over. It's exhausting. Paul didn't put a prereq in what he wrote. He said, unless we are praying, don't refrain from your spouse. If wives want more emotionally connected husbands, then they need to put sex and improving it with us only second to their faith and Bible reading. I promise that if wives don't take the time to sleep with us regularly, we husbands can care less about what your sister or friend did or said. I'm not talking about a deadbeat or abusive husband. I'm talking about those of us husbands that bend over backwards for our wives. We ask very little, but it seems like we are asking for the world for our wives to simply have engaged, intentional sex with us. In my opinion, women that don't feel the need to have regular sex with the man they chose to marry shouldn't have gotten married at all. It's a foundational pillar that society has deemed optional or given an unsustainable list of to-dos to attain. Sorry for the long email. I've just spent 2 years and thousands of dollars chasing this mentality to do absolute chasing this mentality does absolutely nothing. We are literally in no better place than we were. There you go. Wow, there's a lot to address in this. I obviously am a woman and Nick is a guy,
And that's the
and we
great
see
thing about
both
this
sides.
podcast.
We will see both sides. I understand some of the things he's saying. I disagree with just a couple. Not that I disagree, it's just there's deeper issues to it. So,
Well, you hear us all the time talking about like how husbands can step it up and help around the house and do these things. And I like his email. I like a lot of the things he says in his email is like I as a husband am doing all those things, right? That even we're constantly talking about on the podcast, like do these things and you know you're going to be a better husband and your wife's probably going to be want to be more intimate with you. But what I think he's saying is I'm doing everything that she's asking me to do, and I'm trying to be a great husband and I'm trying to do these things. Now we only know obviously his side of what the
Right.
from the email
Right.
is.
There's
We
always
don't
two sides.
we don't know anything about it, but obviously assuming that he is the husband that he's stating that he is in the email,
Mhm.
which there the bottom line is there are a lot of good husbands out
Right.
there that are exactly in the relationship that he's in, to where everything he's explaining is exactly what's going on, and he is, you know, they're good husbands. So, you know, again, that's why we wanted to dive into this and read this, is because this is a common thing. And he's basically asking the questions like, is sex and marriage optional, right?
Mhm.
Or should it be optional? I mean,
There's just a lot to talk about. Where do we even begin, right? Is sex optional in marriage? Absolutely. The word is absolutely, it is optional. It should be optional. The reason I say that is because, like he said, I'm not talking to deadbeat husbands or abusive husbands. Absolutely, a wife needs to feel loved. There needs to be full respect in the marriage. There needs to be full fidelity and loyalty in the marriage. Absolutely. So when we talk about those terms that are the foundations of a healthy relationship, sex, loyalty, kindness, and respect, like, yes, if you do not have those things, sex is probably out the door. That's not what we're talking about in this letter, though, right? We're talking about when a husband is pouring into the marriage, he is pouring into his wife emotionally. The thing that caught me off guard in this email was when, let's see, he said, when did a prerequisite was put in place that a wife's emotional connection needs to be addressed first? Um, I think that's what gets confusing because this entire podcast is about emotional connection needs to come first. But I think what he's saying, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what I think is what he's saying is that he's talking about the romance, the like emotional foreplay, the like I'm trying to do everything perfect and I'm still getting rejected and she doesn't want to fix it because it's not really affecting her. Now, I think in this podcast what we're going to do is dive into women can get their emotional needs met from other women, from their family, from their sisters and mom and friends and daughters. Emotional connection could come from a lot of different places and different ways from other people. Sexual needs only get met in a marriage, or should only get met in a marriage. So that's saying, um, I think that's where it gets complicated. I'd like to dive into that a little bit and just talk about, like, when we talk about prerequisites to marriage, what does that really mean? Does it mean all these things like this list, like Nick mentioned at the very first, like, oh, he's trying to help her in the house. Like, let's talk about that kind of stuff, even though we do commonly. If this guy really is doing his part around the home, I'm not saying help because he's not helping her. Um, it's both people's part to run a home and to parent and all that stuff. But if that is feeling fair and equal in their marriage, like equal as it can, and I think this is deeper than that. She's just literally rejecting, and he's doing everything he can.
well, let's just say this first, and that way we can be more clear when we're stating in this podcast. During this podcast, we are going to talk 100% about good husbands, okay?
Okay.
So let's not even go to like a deadbeat husband or an abusive husband.
Yeah.
Right? So
not
so when Amy and I are talking, we're referring to good husbands out there, right? So when the question's asked, is sex optional? If you're in a yeah, if you're an abusive husband, obviously that's a totally different discussion. So we are talking about good, decent husbands that are trying to be better. And so, you know, I want to say that so that when we make comments, someone doesn't email us and say, "Well, my husband's abusive and you're saying that we should have sex,"
No.
right? Or,
No.
you know, whatever. Like, so I want to make that very clear. The other thing I want to point out in there that caught my attention, which we hear a lot of, is, you know, he says something to the effect of, you know, we as husbands spend this time trying to meet all these emotional things and doing everything right, but saying the wrong thing can ruin 2 weeks of, you know, trying to be a good husband, right? Like, obviously I'm paraphrasing, but he's basically saying like at any time we could say the wrong thing, we could do the wrong thing, or someone else could say the wrong thing that would then completely put your wife out of the mood, and then, a husband spending the next week trying to, build that up again, right?
Mhm.
And I think we hear that a lot, like, and we joke around sometimes that like, oh, if the temperature is 2 degrees too cool, your wife's not going to be in the mood. If the light 3 miles down the road is barely shining through the window, she's not going to be able to concentrate. We say that jokingly, but there's also a little bit of truth to that. Like sometimes for some couples, it feels like the stars have to align for the wife to be interested, right?
Right.
And I think that's what the husband's saying is like, my goodness, I'm doing everything I can do and I'm trying to get those stars to align and I just feel like I can never do that. Therefore,
Mm.
it's sex is an optional thing, right?
Right. It's just, this is hard because you can say good husband, and what does that really look like? What does that really mean, right? I don't have a good husband in my marriage. I have an amazing husband in my marriage. He takes on a lot of the house load, what I don't take on. He takes on a lot of the parenting. He's very helpful in the things that I need. He's very emotionally supportive. He's very kind. He's very loving and gracious and appreciative. I could say all these things all day long. And the reason I'm saying that, I'm not trying to brag. I'm not saying Nick's perfect because he's not.
Oh, far from.
He's
I
pretty
would I would
amazing.
say
He's
I'm a
not
good
perfect.
husband.
You're an amazing husband. There are still nights where I'm like, oh, I gotta do that. And I'm not saying it because I don't love him or he's not prioritized. It's just as women, when we don't have those same needs and it's a very intimate and vulnerable thing to do with your spouse, like the connection does have to be there. But in our marriage, even though I'm not in the mood, I 100% agree that in a loving, I'm saying a very loving, healthy marriage where a husband is really trying, he's trying to be attractive, he's just doing the things. I do believe that sexual intimacy, not sex, sexual intimacy, where it's intimate, is part of marriage commitment in a Christian loving marriage. I think that's what keeps you from feeling like roommates, what keeps you from feeling like this
Yeah.
poor guy that's writing in. A lot of guys feel like that. A lot of women feel like that are the higher drive. I think that if we were to ask every couple that's getting ready to get married and make promises, vows, covenants, whatever you want to call it, getting ready to get married, and you said, hey, I'm going to cut off sex in 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, or a year from now, are you okay with that?
No one would get married.
Nobody would get married. They'd be like,
Absolutely not.
"What are you talking about? Like
I
we're in, like you love me. Like just picture like your first, like some people wait for marriage, some people don't. Whatever that looks like to you. I don't know your religious background or morals or all those things, but whatever that, like that first passionate experience in the first few weeks when you started being intimate with each other, the first however long that lasted. If you picture that, it was amazing, right? The connection was strong, the intimacy was strong, the feelings were strong, the love was strong, the infatuation was strong. Like most people that signed up and committed to marriage signed up for that.
Mhm.
Now we talk about all the time, like we've been married 24 years now, tomorrow actually,
Yeah,
or 2 days,
2 days, yeah.
in 2 days. Marriage goes like this. It's up and down, right? It hasn't always like Nick would I would love to feel like we did the first year, like those feelings and the passion. Like marriage changes, time changes, trials changes, people change, health changes, bodies change. We understand that. But like when we're still intimate and passionate in our marriage, even if it's changed, we both still feel desired. We both still feel like we're a real couple in the marriage. We don't just feel like parents. We don't just feel like that is kind of the glue that keeps the spice in a relationship. So to tell somebody or to if we were to ask that question to couples getting married, they would say, absolutely not. I'm not okay with that happening in a few years
Yeah,
from
no
now.
one would be okay, both men and women, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah, both people would say, absolutely, I'm not okay with that.
Most women don't realize their body and their hormones and all this kind of stuff and age is going to change them and whatever baggage has happened in the marriage or whatever. But even a wife or the husband that has the lower drive is not going to be like, yeah, sign me up for that. Like no one signs up to feel rejected in that way.
Yeah, so he makes a lot of good points in there. He says, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm running the kids around. I know some of those things are just things you do because you're married.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, like he does those things not because he wants to. He's doing those things because he loves his wife,
Or his
right?
kids.
For his kids. Like he's doing those things out of love. So what he's saying is, I don't understand why we can't be intimate, like out of love for one another. right? Like, I mean, maybe it's not your favorite thing to do, but it's still a way that we can connect, and it's still a way we, hold this family together, and we show love for one another, and like you said, keep things passionate. And I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, marriage takes a lot of work, and I think in all areas, it
Mhm.
doesn't come easy. I think it's meant to be take work and be hard, no matter what area of marriage it's in, and every area is going to look different for everyone. But I think that's normal, because when you put work into something, it becomes better. It's not supposed to be
Mhm.
easy, like everything just flows easy and perfect, and you never have to work at it, because there's no growth in that. But where, he's saying, um, I'm trying to be a better husband. I'm trying to do these things, and he feels like there's no effort on her part,
Right.
right? Like, it's just like, well, you're not doing this good enough, or you didn't do this, or you forgot to do this, or this wasn't perfect. And I think I feel like that's kind of what he's saying, is like, until I do everything absolutely perfect, like there's no, that's the bar she's setting.
Okay, so I think the point, we don't know their situation. I don't really know this man. I don't know what the wife is like. I don't know what they've been through in their marriage. I don't know anything about them, right? So this is just very surface level. But what I can say, and we kind of already did an episode on this a while back, what I can say is something has caused a barrier. And we talk about this all the time. Something has caused a barrier. Obviously, these guys have been in counseling for 2 years. Something's going on because counseling just isn't working. Something's off. There's either some resentment that's killing her. Like, if you listen to our Friday episodes with Austin, he's always saying libido is not a sex part. It's not a part of your body. It's not your drive. Libido is so emotional, right? So her libido slash emotional desire is wrecked, okay? So that happens from major resentment that she's holding on to. He might be coming to counseling and saying, I want to resolve this. I want to do better. I'm sorry for what happened. Whatever,
And he
whatever it
may
is,
he may
right?
not even know anything's wrong, right? Unless
Well,
she's
yeah, obviously, hopefully they're talking about it if they're going to counseling. But there's some resentment that you as a woman have to choose, or vice versa, to let go in order to want to be intimate again, right? Resentment's huge. Like, we've dealt with that in our marriage. We understand that. That's something you can continuously choose to hold on to, and that's just going to wreck your marriage. That's why you go to the Bible and learn about forgiveness. Forgiveness, 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 forgiveness. Our spouses need it more than anybody. Um, the next thing is literally like pain, or she's not enjoying it. There's something going on in the bedroom, because I can tell you, like, Austin says this all the time. The therapist, Austin, is always like, if she doesn't want it, the sex isn't good enough. Make it good enough that she wants it. Something's missing in the bedroom, because even if I'm not in the mood, like, I'm like, I know it's going to be good when I'm done, and I'm gonna be grateful that I did, because Nick knows me, and we've had to communicate really a lot on that and learn each other. But there's something missing for her in that area that she's not enjoying it too. Maybe. I'm just saying. Um, because Austin always says, like, make it good enough that she wants it, right? So it has to be pleasurable for her. So that's another thing. Like, there's just a lot of things for women. But what I want to dive into is that line. Let's see if I can find it. He says, when did a prerequisite that was put in place about a wife's emotional connection needs to be addressed first? Emotional connections important for both people. I think in this podcast we talk about, like, wives need emotional intimacy. Wives need emotional intimacy. So do men. So do men. Like, we both need to feel loved and supported and all those things, right? It's just, if you have a higher drive, your body can kind of overlook those things
But I
for
think that
sex, where a woman, like, kind of can't.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is, I think if he's listening to this podcast, he'd probably agree with most everything we're saying. I think what he's saying in his email is it's every time, right? Like, I have to
Mhm.
fulfill her emotional bucket before sex is even on the table. And then but the emotional bucket might be this, and it might take, and he even says in his email, it might take a week to do, it might take 2 weeks to do. Like, he's trying to constantly just fill this emotional bucket, hoping that they will be intimate. But at any time, that emotional bucket could get a puncture in by him saying the wrong thing, or,
Mhm.
something else happening, or, like he says, something, I mean, he says a lot of things in there, but I think that's what he's saying is, why does emotional intimacy always come first? Like, why can't, I don't think he's saying, emotional intimacy isn't important. I think he's saying
Right.
like
Okay.
she's asking me to fill this garbage can or two garbage cans full of all the emotional intimacy things every time before there's even a willingness to maybe do it. But and that takes weeks or months or whatever. And he's just saying like, why can't because for men, and we've talked about this in so many podcasts, like before men are going to be like emotionally invested and emotionally
Available.
involved and emotionally available with their wife, like sex plays an important role in that. Like we've talked about this before, like the chicken and the egg thing, right? Like if a wife is withholding the sexual side of things, a husband is going to back off emotionally and be more distant. And I think that's exactly what he's saying is like,
Mhm.
why can't we sometimes just be intimate because like we're in love, and why does there have to be all these million prerequisites and things that we have to do first? Because again, if a husband, I'm telling you right now, if a wife is willing to make love to her husband a couple times a week, they're not going to probably have any problems emotionally. A husband is going to feel so much closer to his wife. He's naturally going to meet those needs because he's going to feel connected. He's going to feel desired. He's going to feel loved when she shows effort to show him that he's important and that he's loved, he's going to do the same automatically emotionally. It's then not even going to become like a task thing like, oh, I got to fill her bucket here and make sure that she's filling this before I have any chance of this. Like I think it's going to happen more naturally, right? Where that's more naturally and more loving to where you're wanting to fulfill each other's needs because you're both showing that you care about each other. Amy's saying, let's make love tonight. I know that's not the top thing on her list, but that shows that she loves me, and I want to be more like, oh my heck, like she loves me. I want to do everything I can to show her that I'm supportive of her and the best husband I can be, and just, it's reciprocal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I got rambling there,
I
but
got rambling before you. We just have a lot to say on this. Um, I had some thoughts in my head, but now I gotta rethink. He states, I don't mean this to sound offensive, but some women are far too emotionally unstable for the emotional connection to be the foundation of sex in the marriage. And what he means by this is the time of month, what her family said, what her friend did, how the kids are acting, and she's stressed out about world events, politics, that she misinterpreted something her husband did or said, etc. The list is endless on what affects a woman's emotions. Okay, um, he's only married to one woman, so he's not saying all women. But we are definitely emotional creatures by nature, much more emotional than men. So I agree. I do agree with that. I do agree that it's all comes up to our attitude. So if the kids start screaming and fighting, it just wrecks the whole mood, right? Like if we're like, oh, I can get in the mood, and then something big like that happens, it just kind of wrecks it. If we hear some devastating news, we can't stop thinking about it. If
where
we're
husbands
stressed,
can.
that we're just different. And
Mhm.
so I understand that I understand what he's saying. I'm also like, okay, coming from a woman, because we talk both sides, I get that, and I know that's got to be frustrating for men. But like we're so mental and you're so physical when we're talking low drive, high drive husbands. That is true. We are very emotional, and so it can get wrecked really easy. You're joking about temperature and stuff, but it's kind of true. Like because if we have a million tabs open in our mind, and then we're trying to be intimate, but we just keep thinking about other things, and you guys can shut that
We
off.
can close all the other
Shutting that
tabs
off,
and just have one tab open, which is we want to be
which is
intimate.
amazing. And
Yeah.
believe me, we are jealous of that. We would love to be able to shut off all the tabs, plug our ears, pretending nothing's happening outside the room, and just concentrate. We're just different. And so bless their bless their marriage because like obviously they are not, I mean, able to have conversations about this because sometimes I'll tell Nick, I'll be like, I'm so stressed out with this. I can't believe this happened. And he will listen to me and ask me questions and let me get that all out so that then I can concentrate. That's what's so great to have about that
Or
emotional support.
maybe I can try to help in some ways. Like if she comes to me and
Exactly.
says, "God, I'm really stressed out with this." Well, let me take care of this, right? Like,
Yeah,
that may happen with dinner sometimes too. She's like, "I don't want to deal with that tonight." Oh, I got it, babe. I got it.
you're awesome at
And
that.
and I think
Yep.
it's just having that communication. But what we're talking about, I think, is so true. And I think most women are shaking their heads, and most men are shaking their heads. And we've said this jokingly, and I don't think it's jokingly, but honestly, like I could get hurt and have to go get stitches or something, and Amy could say, "Hey, let's make love real quick." I would totally forget about the stitches, focus 100%. But that's how most men are shaking their heads, and most men are saying, yeah, that's how we are. But that's because
One of these
we're
days, if you get hurt, if you end up getting hurt,
no,
I'm gonna test you.
don't say that
I'm not
because
gonna hurt you. I'm
don't
just saying
jinx
if
me.
you ever get hurt, I'm gonna test you on that, and I'm gonna come back and talk about it on the podcast after you heal.
And I will report back to everyone in the podcast
Oh my
exactly
gosh.
what I did.
Okay, so we have talked about that goalpost always moving in marriage. Like, when does intimate time? Now the bar is higher. Now the bar is higher. Now the bar is higher. We talk about this all the time. And he's saying the slightest thing tears her down the emotional connection, then we start all over and it's exhausting. And I agree with that 100%. Like, if a man is always feeling like he has to earn intimacy, and she's always feeling like he has to earn intimacy, it's wrecking it for both people.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a wife, there is nothing that kills your emotional, mental sex drive faster than feeling pressured into it. And there's nothing that kills it worse for you than a woman feeling like she's being pressured into it, right? Like, that's what he's saying. I want it to be wanted. So let's jump into beliefs. Okay. He says Paul didn't put a prereq in what he wrote. He said, unless we are praying, don't refrain from your spouse. Okay. I I have a love-hate relationship with throwing scripture and everything because everyone
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
interprets scripture so different. Like, you can go read all these different verses and it says, don't withdraw, don't withhold, whatever. Okay, I don't believe that God is just saying you need to go just take care of each other's needs all the time whenever they want it because you're married unless you're doing this. Okay, that's not what he meant. It's not what God meant. That's not what Paul meant. Don't refrain from your spouse is probably with a healthy balance because God teaches about healthy balance, right? Like, so personally, I'm interpreting don't refrain from your spouse, like, find a good balance that works for you, work on your healthy marriage, work on having a healthy Christian intimate foundation in your marriage, and make each other a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not gonna say like how often or what you should do, or I think that comes between the couple, finding something that both people agree on. It feels good, it feels mutual, and it feels loving, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think another big problem is like social media, right? Like social media is teaching women that, oh, you don't need a man or all they want is sex. And then it feeds into the thing that like, oh my heck, that's all he wants. Like it's all physical when nothing could be further from the truth. And we talk about that often as well too. I think, the things that we read or watch or the things that we're taught also puts a mindset into our minds of a perception of what the way something is or how it should be or how we react to something. And I don't know, I feel like people are so much more like all about me and
Mm-hmm.
not caring. The whole purpose of marriage is all about you and or it should be all about serving one another and working together as one. And I feel like spouses in marriage nowadays, it becomes more about me. And if I don't want to do something or I'm not in the mood to do something, then I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
And I'm not at all promoting and saying like it should be forced or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying there's lots of things in marriage that we do for the health of our marriage. Like we go change the oil in our cars, not because I want to, but because I know that's important for my car and I want my car to last and be reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's certain things that we do for each other in marriage that maybe aren't on the top of what we want to do or our priority list, but we do it to serve one another and to bring each other closer together, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
that's the thing is like you have a lot of things in marriage that bring you closer together. Sex is one of those many things, but there's many other things that bring you closer together that may not be like fun to do or you're jumping up and down, but we do those things to focus on our marriage and have a deeper relationship and connection and long-term happiness.
So yes, agree with everything you said. If we're talking religious and we're talking about full commitment and full love and faithfulness in marriage, I absolutely agree that intimacy was designed by God and it should be a big part of your relationship. I think that's what keeps people together. If you survey 1,000 or 1,000,000 couples, the ones that are having an intimate life are the happier couples. Like, it's just a fact. God created sex for couples to enjoy each other, right? It's not just for procreation. It talks about that also in the Bible. But um He says, I'm talking about those, let's see. We asked very little, but it seems like we were asking the world for our wives to simply have engaged, intentional sex with us. In my opinion, women don't feel the need to have regular sex with the man they chose to marry, shouldn't have gotten married at all. See, I agree with that statement, but nobody knows what's going to happen in marriage. Nobody, like, I didn't realize I was not going to feel like the same drive that I had when I first got married. I didn't know that was going to die up. I didn't know my body was going to age and then my hormones are going to change after having kids. And like, I think we all sign up for marriage because it's exciting, it's new, it's passionate. We love the person, they're our best friend, and we have no idea what's coming. So I agree that the intimacy, being intimate in marriage should be a big form of commitment if the marriage is healthy and strong and has a good foundation.
But
I
also, if you're going through different seasons and you're struggling with different things, it should also be like trying to figure things out. Okay, we're going through this different season. How do we make this area of our marriage, even not
Sure.
just sex, but how do we, get through all the opposition and still prioritize this? And maybe it's harder to prioritize or because of health issues or
Mhm.
different things. It should be something that you like say, how do we battle through this during this time so that we still prioritize each other? And maybe that looks differently during that period of time versus just saying, oh, we're going through something hard. I don't want to do it. And therefore we're being cut off until I tell you that, we're okay again.
Right,
Right.
right,
And the hard thing about this discussion is, like Amy
right.
said, there's a million different things that can happen in your life. And we're not sitting here saying you should have it against your will or anything like that. That's not at all what we're saying.
Absolutely not.
We're just saying you should this is a big part of marriage and it should be prioritized.
And if it's not being prioritized and there's a resentment or an issue that's going on that's keeping it from being prioritized, then work on that foundation
Exactly.
piece first to fix it so it can be intimate again, right? Like the point is to be at a level where you're both in love with each other and in a healthy place that you want to be intimate. So if you're not there, the whole key is to figuring out how do we resolve and become more get over those things so we can be intimate. So obviously
Yeah.
we hear letters like this all the time. So there's deeper things going in it, and we don't know the couple. We don't know what's going on in her mind and what's his mind, but there's a lot to it. But I could honestly say that if women were to prioritize that more, there would be more love and connection
Hmm.
to the men. And I'm speaking to good, healthy, loving men, respectful, loving, honest, loyal men. Okay. So, um, when I first got this email, me and Nick started having this conversation. I wish we would have just recorded it because it was like
I
right
know.
after we opened it
Yeah.
and we dove into it. And we were talking about it. And can I just share my quick analogy with
Oh,
you really
please. Yeah.
quick? I know it's silly. This is really silly, and I'm going to keep it really short because I don't want to bore you. But I looked at Nick and the night before, so this is silly, but it's very trendy, and a lot of the women in my neighborhood or around us have started playing this mahjong game that's like Chinese, okay? It's like American mahjong. Anyways, it's got all these tiles. It's really crazy. It's got a lot of rules, and I taught it to Nick because I wanted to play on a Sunday night, and I didn't have any friends over. And he gets done, and he's like, "Wow, okay, what the crap was that?" Right? Not super excited about it, was willing to do it. Okay, so that was like a week before. And then, like, the next Sunday, I was like, "Hey, do you want to play this with me?" And it just never happened. Okay, like, I don't know. I can't
Well,
remember the whole
yeah,
what
no,
happened that
so
night. I wish
so
I
Amy
still.
made a comment and said, "Well, it's a lot easier just to play with two people versus three because our daughter wanted to play or something."
Oh no, it's like it's funner to play with four people than it is with two
Oh, yeah,
people,
yeah,
is what
yeah.
I said. And he took that as I don't want to play it, but I actually didn't want him to ask me to play it because we were bored. And so he went and did whole thing all night, and then I went and did my whole thing all night, and then he wanted to be intimate because he initiated. And I was like, wait a second. Okay, so my point is that he doesn't love to play that game. I really got into it. I'm really like addicted to playing it because you have to think and it's a lot of strategy and stuff. He doesn't love it. He loves to be intimate. And I like to play this game. There's things that I love to do, pickleball, whatever, that like the game he doesn't love to do it, but I don't really well, I probably just already said that. I'm chopping it.
No,
But
no, you're
I my point is that I do things for him because it means a lot to him, and he initiates doing things for me that I love to do. And that is what serving each other in a Christian marriage is saying, I know I don't enjoy it. I'm going to try to figure out how to enjoy this because it means the world to you.
Well, and I'm doing it with you, right? So
And I'm doing it with you.
even though the game isn't my favorite thing, I'm like, you know what? She loves doing this, and I love being with her, so I'm gonna play.
I'm going to try and make it fun. And my point with Nick, when we had this conversation, I was like, well, you don't act very excited about it. Well, he says that to me sometimes about initiating. Well, you don't act very excited about it. So these are the kind of conversations that we've gotten to a point in our marriage that we can say like that stuff to each other, and we're like, you're right, I need to be better at acting more excited about being intimate. And he's like, you're right, I need to act a little more excited about playing that stupid game because it's important to you.
I didn't say stupid.
You didn't say
by the
stupid.
way. I said I'm more excited about playing the game.
You were probably thinking that it was stupid. Kind of is. But this is where serving each other comes in marriage. And this is where conversations come in marriage. This is important to you, and this is important to you, and this is how we're going to make our marriage stay passionate. Now, Nick, right after we had this conversation, I was like, you're right, I should have just been open with you and said I really wanted to play this game tonight, and he would have been like, I would love to play with you because it's important to you, and vice versa. Right after this conversation, and we're like, you're right, he's like, okay, this is the difference though. When you try to like use that as an analogy, he's like, you have friends and you have daughters that will play this game with you. Like you have other people where you're getting this emotional connection, is what we're kind of talking about, right? You can ask to get these needs filled in other places. He's like, when I want to be intimate, you are the only person that can fill those needs. And that's kind of what I wanted to like talk about a little bit in this episode, is that as women, we need to do better, because if our husbands, that's like one of the main places that they feel really loved and desired, and that's what keeps the passion and keeps their excitement for life and for you and all these things. That's the one place it probably needs to be a little more important to you. And if you're not enjoying it or you're not wanting to, like, what is that deeper reason? And maybe that is up to you to figure out and not always up to him. Yes, it's a team thing, but like positive attitude, telling him what you need to enjoy it physically, emotionally. Like we have some work to do on ourselves, like what he was stating in the email about all the emotional things. Like we need to regulate ourselves. We need to regulate our emotions a little bit. We need to communicate a little bit better instead of being like, oh, I have this big mental load, I'm not in the mood now. He's got a mental load too. Have you talked about those things? Are you able to sit down and share, like, hey, this is how I feel when you always deny me, but everything else in our whole entire life comes first? Like for the women, I'm rambling about this, but it's important. And I've realized this in my marriage of 24 years. His needs matter as much as mine. I'm not better than him. That's pride when you think that your needs are more important than your spouse's needs. And I know they look different, but faithfulness in marriage is more than just not cheating.
Yeah.
It's called prioritizing. And to all the women out there that are like, I don't love sex, figure out why. Get the help that you need. If it's mental, if it's physical, if it's medical, get the help you need and take care of those needs that you need done that you can do by yourself, so that your husband doesn't have to suffer all the time.
All right, I'm gonna say this too.
Okay.
I thought you were spot on. But I also feel like a big part of it is attitude, right?
What is attitude?
So I used to hate hanging Christmas lights to the point where Amy and I would have a big argument every November, right? And I honestly, like, that was our one big fight a year.
Literally,
and I hated it, and it was really important to her, and I'm like, I hate it. Okay, having said that,
how many years did you deny me?
A lot. Okay, and that's the point I'm going to try to make in this whole thing. So a lot of it was my attitude, right? I hated doing it. I had some experiences, and it was just something I absolutely was the worst, is hanging Christmas lights. Okay. Now, backing up, I'd say probably 7, 8 years ago, I'm like, I'm changing my attitude. I'm going to do Christmas lights because it's not about me. It makes her happy. It's really important to her. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up with a dad that loved to put them up. The holiday was big. The lights were big. It was awesome.
Okay, so for the past like 7 years now, I do Christmas lights every year. A lot of times I don't even tell her. I just go do them.
Take a couple hours.
I don't complain. In fact, it's almost to the point to where like I'm looking forward to doing them. Even though it's not my favorite thing to do, I know it makes her really, really happy. The point I'm trying to make in this whole thing is I simply change my attitude, right? Instead, if I'm constantly telling myself that I hate to do something, that's gonna be true. I'm gonna convince myself that I hate doing it.
Right.
If I get a better attitude and be like, you know what? I need to stop being so negative. Now I look at Christmas lights, and is it my favorite thing to do? No, but I actually enjoy doing it because of how it makes Amy feel. And so now it's one of those things like a lot of times Amy doesn't even need to ask me. She doesn't even know when I'm going to do it. I just go do it and I take care of it. And she comes out and she's like, "Oh my heck, the Christmas lights look great." And I feel great. And it's all because I changed my attitude. And so now my attitude is like, yeah, I'm going to put up Christmas lights. Absolutely. I know how important it is to her. So the point I'm trying to make is if you're always telling yourself you hate something, and every time your husband initiates, you're like, oh my heck, I hate this, that's probably a big part of the problem. So
Hmm.
start maybe being more positive about it. And even if it's not your favorite thing to do, find the positives in it. Say, you know what? It's really important to him, and it helps him connect with me, and it helps me connect with him, and it holds our marriage together, and I can tell how happy he is, and just try to find the positive in something, and you'll probably be pretty amazed that as you start looking at things from a positive standpoint, maybe your whole approach to that, whether it's intimacy or something else, is realistically going to change.
Right.
That was my experience with the Christmas lights. I literally, I can't even explain how badly my attitude was towards it, and that's why I hated doing it. And now it's totally different. It's not even a source of contention whatsoever anymore, right?
Right.
What's your experience on that?
No, that's an amazing, that's a better analogy than the one I shared.
But it
Much
really,
better.
it really was all my pride and my attitude. That's what it was all
Everything
about.
just comes down to attitude. When I keep telling myself, like, oh my gosh, it's day 4 again, I've got to do this again. I just wrecked my own drive right there. I just wrecked it for myself. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, maybe I should initiate tonight because I know I can get in the mood. I'm going to be grateful after.
Yeah.
I think that women are missing out that like it's good for your health, it's good for stomach problems, it's good for headaches, there's lots of benefits to it. So our attitude needs to be like, how does this benefit me? How does this benefit the marriage? How does this benefit my health? I wonder if I changed my attitude and tried to be positive about it because I have a really great husband. I wonder if our whole entire marriage would change, right? So I want to end with we have a lot to talk about. We're already at like 45 minutes. I want to end with a story from yesterday. It was Father's Day yesterday. And Nick's like, on Saturday, I said, I'm taking you shopping. We're going to get you a Father's Day present. He's like, I don't want anything. And I'm like, our kids are, teenagers. They're not even paying attention to this stuff anymore. So I'm like, you need to be spoiled by me. Our kids aren't going to do it anymore. Let's go find you a father. I don't want anything for Father's Day. You know what I want for Father's Day. And of course, it's the one thing that made him a father, right? He wants to be intimate. He's like, I want you to want
I
it.
want to be a father again without actually being a father.
Please, yes. And of course, I'm like, oh, you're so difficult. Can't you just tell me something to buy you? Okay.
You're so difficult. I'm like, I just told you what I want.
Okay,
I'm
you're
not
so
difficult.
easy. I told him in the car, I was laughing. I was like, you're so easy. It's difficult. I just want to buy you something. It's simpler. But that misses the whole message. So I wrote him the spicy freaking letter.
Oh,
I initiated, okay? Ladies,
what?
do you want to know what happened? It like felt like Mother's Day yesterday. Giving him for Father's Day what he wanted in that area felt like Mother's Day to me because when a man feels desired, everything changes. He's like happy, excited, wants to be involved, is super helpful. He's on this new level of like connection. And that's what I wish women would understand is like when both of your needs are getting taken care of equally, like his matter, mine matter, they both matter, and we're both trying to outserve each other. That's when marriage has ultimate intimacy.
Yeah, no, it really was fun. Like the past 2 days have been fun. We went plant shopping, and I bought Amy a lot of flowers
It
for
felt like
Father's
Mother's
Day.
Day. No, they're for our yard. It was for both of us, but
No, but you're making a great point. I mean,
it's about serving each
yeah.
other. It's about serving each other. So us women and some men, it goes both ways. I get that. Don't get mad at me. It's about serving each other. When you're pouring into your spouse instead of being prideful and self-pleasuring in every other way in life and putting everyone first, like it's just
Well,
like serving each other changes everything.
yeah, and Amy and I. obviously we're Christian, but we don't try to, we have so many people from all over the world that listen to this podcast, some of them not religious at all, every religion. So I just want to say this, but I will say this, like if you look at Christ, his whole life he served others. And I think he was setting the tone on the stage to say, when you serve others, when you serve your spouse in marriage, that is where you're going to find, when you serve God, right? When you serve, that is where you're going to find the most happiness in life. And that's what life is about.
Mhm.
And I think we get that backwards in marriage. We're taught now in this day and age that, oh, if you want to be happy, you don't need a spouse, you don't need a husband, you don't need a wife. They're just, their baggage. You should follow your own desires and your own ambitions or your own needs, and that's truly what's going to make you happy, when in reality it doesn't. And but I think a lot of us are buying into that. So
Mhm.
I want to just end by saying, like, serving one another, even if it's not on the top of your mind, that's what marriage is all about, is doing things because you love each other, and you want to have a better marriage. And sometimes that means being intimate when you don't want to. Sometimes that means the emotional needs when you don't want to. Like you're doing it because you love your spouse and you care about each other.
And when he says doing it when you don't want to do it, we're talking in loving, respectful, loyal
Correct.
marriages, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes, and you could get all mad and say, we should never have to do it when we don't want to. If you don't do anything when you don't want to, a husband's not going to want to go to work. He's not going to want to listen to this, like he's saying on here, the stories about your sisters and friends. Like we women can ramble. Like there's a lot of emotional needs that we need. And sometimes men don't want to do that either, but they do it.
Well, we do those things because we love our spouse.
Right.
And like we say every week, if something's important to your spouse, it should be important to you and vice versa. So, yeah, there's a lot of things we do for each other maybe we don't love to do, but we do it because we love our spouse.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're saying in this podcast. And I would end and say, in a good marriage, is sex optional? I would say no. I would say that's something that is the glue that holds a couple together. But if you're dealing with those types of struggles or things in your marriage, then it's also, your responsibility to figure out, why do I not have this desire? Why, what's wrong? It's your responsibility individually and as a couple to figure out the why and then try to work on that. It's not fair for one spouse to just say, well, you know what? I don't want to go to work today, or I don't want to do this, therefore I'm not going to do it. No, it's.
And I would say sexual intimacy in marriage is absolutely optional. And if you choose for it to not be a part of your marriage, you're going to wreck your marriage and you're going to wreck your emotional foundation. You're going to wreck everything because I mean it is optional. You got to use the word
Well,
optional
okay.
because you get to choose whether you want a great marriage or not. You
Yeah,
do.
and that's you're right. And that's maybe when I said it's not optional,
If you want
I
an
was
amazing passionate
yeah,
marriage,
that's
it shouldn't
exactly
be
what I was
optional.
saying, is if you really want an amazing marriage, then it's not optional. Of course it's optional.
Right.
But I'm saying exactly what you're saying. If you want to have a marriage and even have a marriage, then it's something you need. It's basically not optional. Like you need
Ways to be intimate.
yeah.
There's lots of ways to be intimate.
Yeah, but you can't shut something off and then expect that it's still going to work. Like you can't, I mean, you can't completely shut something off and expect that you're going to have a great marriage and that everything's going to be great. And no, it's not. Eventually, it's going to fall apart. I mean,
Absolutely. And I always end with this when we're talking about this kind of things. If you want, like to the moms out there, I think, like it took me, I guess I've always thought this, but it's become more and more and more aware to myself that if you want your kids to have an amazing marriage one day and you want them to be happy, your marriage really should be your priority because you're teaching them what a passionate, healthy, loving marriage looks like by the way you treat each other, talk to each other, treat each other with kindness. And that those things are only going to happen when you're on the same level and you're intimate and you have a really good, loving, emotional, sexual connection with your spouse. Like, although they have no idea what's going behind the scenes or behind the doors of your marriage, they can feel the love and the unity in your marriage. And that's the best gift that you can give your kids. So to all the moms out there and they think they just can withhold, emotionally abuse their husbands, think that their husband's needs don't matter, you're really hurting your entire family's life. And the older our kids get there, I realize that because we've got two adult kids now that are like, thank you for showing us that marriage could be amazing. Thank you for for helping other marriages and teaching them. I mean, they're adults now, so we have these conversations about what marriage is going to look like for them and the whole sex topic. Like this is, they're like, thank you for teaching us that that's important. Like all these things, like the more important, the more my marriage, the more I realize I'm pouring into my entire family because the unity and the whole entire just spirit of our family is different. So
Yeah, and we really appreciate the gentleman that wrote into us and gave us permission to share this experience.
yeah,
I don't know that our, podcast today is going to fix anything for him necessarily, as it takes two,
it
but
does. Yeah.
I hope his experience of what he's going through, he allowed us to share it, and we feel like it can be a great topic to talk to so many people that are struggling with that. And so we really appreciate, him sharing that experience. And if any of you have any experiences or things that you're going through or some topics that you want us to talk about, just email us at amy@ultimateintimacy.com, and we'd love to talk about it, or have Austin on to talk about it if it's something we don't feel comfortable or like we should be talking about it. Again, Amy and I are not therapists. We just share our opinions of what we've done in our marriage or our thoughts on things as well too. And that's why on Fridays we have the therapist on to be able to talk about things that he's more qualified to be able to talk about. So
Absolutely. So yes, good. Good. I'm sure we could do a part two on this. I'm sure there are things that we have not discussed, but we're going to end that today. If you're a wife and you have a good marriage, you have a great husband, he just is a real, you just feel like he's a really great guy. You want a great marriage. The passion isn't there because you don't love to be intimate. We always talk about these two products. I feel like every couple should have these in their nightstands. They have been life-changing, game-changing, marriage-changing for us. So many of our friends, so many of our family members. We have a lot of people reach out to like, I'm so glad you talk about this and share these things because they have changed our marriage also. A lot of people that we know come to us to get these two products. The V-Ring for her pleasure, only used together, takes intimate time to a whole nother level. I swear by it. I swear by it. Like, I know that my whole, even if I'm a stress disaster, emotional disaster, have so many tabs open in my mind, they can all turn off because it feels that good with this marriage aid. It's in our shop. Paired with the all-in-one lubricant massage cream, smells amazing, organic. I feel like everyone should toss out every other lube or massage cream in their entire
oh yeah,
nightstand, bathroom, whatever, and put these two products right there is game changers for your marriage at shop.ultimateintimacy.com. We get so many people writing us back and be like, this has changed our intimate life because now my wife can enjoy it not just every time, but the entire time. And I never thought that we'd be doing this for a living. I never thought we'd be selling stuff. But if we can help somebody's intimate life become amazing because it feels better, lasts longer, whatever it is, that's game changers for the entire marriage and every aspect of the marriage too. So
yeah, I will back you up. I never thought we'd be doing this, so here we are. But
anyways,
we're very passionate about what we do, and we love sharing our experiences and helping others. So appreciate all of you listening, and reach out to us if you want. Just share your thoughts, your hate mail, whatever you want to do. So thanks again for listening. Until next time.